Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining another masterclass. I'm super happy today because I've got a new member at our board of experts at the Worldwide Immigrants Association. So please welcome Jeremy Cross. He's the owner and founder of Cross Law. Listen to this, he is immigration, criminal, and family lawyer at the United States. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for being with us today.
Thank you, Diana, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, no, thank you. The pleasure is mine. So before we start with this masterclass, I just want to explain our audience why is it so important for us to touch base on this topic. A lot of people come to the Worldwide Immigrants Association asking what's the best way to go to another country and stabilize themselves or go study or go work. So there is a lot of information now in the media and a lot of people going to Facebook groups and they take advice from different perspectives and backgrounds and lifestyles. So every time it seems like it's more complicated than it is actually. The problem is that when we don't have access to an expert like you, Jeremy, it becomes like a snowball which grows and grows and grows, and we feel more overwhelmed instead of actually going directly to the source, the person who actually knows the law better than anybody else, and listen to them and see what's better for us in the case that we are facing in that moment, right?
Right. I would encourage your listeners to stay off Facebook. There's a lot of misconceptions going around, especially on social media. It's not always helpful. Everyone likes to talk about something that happened to their friends, something that they read about on social media. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's a lot of myths going around there. And some of it is from websites that, are published by organizations you'd think that are credible, but unfortunately, I'm happy to, I should say, I'm happy to clear up some of those myths.
Yeah, exactly. So in this case, when I touch base with you, I propose you to talk about to go through the process and the most common permits that we need to apply to in case we want to move to another country. But first of
Right.
all, I want to um, underline that Jeremy is a US lawyer. That means that he works exclusively for people who are willing to go to the United States of America, right?
Yes. I do immigration law. Although I'm barred in Massachusetts, I practice family and criminal law in Massachusetts. Immigration law is federal, so I can practice in any state in the country. So, for
Yeah.
instance, if someone is in Illinois, I could handle an immigration case there, even though I'm not barred in Illinois.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So whatever you're going to listen today in this beautiful masterclass that Jeremy is offering us, think about generals instead of specifics, because he is going to talk about his own experience as a U.S. lawyer. So if you're applying to other kind of permits in other countries, maybe the names are going to change. Maybe the process is very different to what you're going to listen to, but well, the most of our audience is in United States and Canada. And of course, law is very similar in all countries. So maybe the name is not going to be the same, but maybe if you listen to this, you will have a better idea of how to apply to the country that you want to go to.
Right. That's a great point, Diana. I only do U.S. immigration law. I don't do European or Canadian immigration law. I'd imagine that there's probably a lot of similarities between the nations, but I really only just specialize in U.S. immigration law.
Yeah. And finally, let's make it very, very clear that this is not legal counseling. This is just for your information. We want to give you as much information as we can. So if you need to know more, because of course it depends on the background of each person. So if you want to learn more, you only need to reach out to Jeremy and ask him questions, and he will be very happy to answer them.
Yes, I'm always happy to field immigration questions.
Awesome. So I leave you the stage, Jeremy. How do we do? Like there are student permits, working permits, permanent residencies, temporary, super short, business. Oh my God, it's confusing.
Yes, there's a lot to immigration. There's a lot of ways to enter the country, to live here, to work here, and I'd be happy to explain all that, to dive right into that. But first, why don't I give you a little bit of background? You know why I got into this business. First of all, I'd like to say that I love what I do. What I do is very important to me. It's something that I'm extremely passionate about. Uh, what I do is make people's dreams come true.
I love
And
that.
thank you. And by making people's dreams come true, it makes my dreams come true as well. Because I get to help people. I get to set people in the best position in life as possible. That's something I'm very passionate about, and something that means a lot to me. Everyone says that the U.S. is a country of immigrants. We have a very proud tradition of immigration, and that's something I'm proud to uphold and live by on a daily basis. People are very diverse. Everyone has a different story to tell. Everyone has, a different background. But I find that despite all those differences, at the end of the day, we have more in common than we have that's different. I love what I do. It's a great job. Um, World history can be viewed through the lens of immigration. Ever since the origin of our species, we've always been extremely modular, and we've always, as a species, been striving in the pursuit of new experiences and new opportunities. Immigration law is very complex, it's challenging, it changes all the time with each presidential administration. You're always going to see a different stance on immigration, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat in office. So that's kind of just how immigration works out. And other kinds of law, the laws change at a much slower pace if they even change at all. But in immigration, it's very, very rapidly changing all of the time.
Definitely. And the more the time goes by and there's a lot of traffic and ideas, and now, well, I'm extremely happy that we got to live in this century or millennium, because doors are more open than we can ever imagine to other countries and other experiences and other languages, other cultures. The thing is that a lot of people think that these changes and going to other countries is kind of as simple as just going through and trying to trick the system of the country that they are going to, and instead of making it easier, they sometimes complicate things. But yeah, definitely this era is an era of openness and more inclusivity. How do you say that? Inclusiveness?
Yes, exactly. People are much more inclusive. Yes, you got it exactly right. Yes, people are traveling much more than they did maybe my parents or my grandparents' generation. People can travel, fairly readily to other parts of the world. We live in such a global, fast-paced era, and it's really, immigration issues really are in every part of our lives, whether or not we really appreciate that or not. right now I'm in Miami, and there's immigrants all around. So, so it's really an exciting era that we live in.
Yeah, yeah, it is. So first of all, I'd love to know, as my question before, there are many people who come or send us messages at the Worldwide Immigrants Association and tell us, well, can you help us migrate? Can you help us go study? Can you help us? And unfortunately, we are not an immigration agency or office, but it's because they are always trying to go to SIRS, which is not as professional as a lawyer, maybe because they are afraid of reaching out to you guys, because they think that you're kind of unreachable gods that are going to be angry.
I hope
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
like that. I can promise you, listeners, I don't bite. I'm not a vampire.
I know, but it's very common that they, instead of going to the professionals, go to and ask to other people who they feel more confident with. So I remember this person who reached out to us, and he's a student, and he was from Namibia or Kenya, and he wanted actually to migrate to Canada. And who was asking us about how would it be easier to become a permanent resident if becoming a student and then applying for the permanent residency, or coming as a worker, or just coming as a visitor and then do all um, the process here in Canada, and then like, well, many questions that we were not even able to answer. So to shorten the question is, for these kind of cases, when people really want to create, because this guy wanted to study an MBA,
Okay.
so he really wanted to come and do it well. But
Right.
how's the journey? How do we do it easier for them, for example?
If hypothetically he was trying to immigrate to the United States, that's one of the things that I do as an attorney. I develop a strategy for people that's particularly geared towards them, and that's what that was one of the things that I really love about what I do. I'm able to take all of the information that's given to me about someone's background, what they've studied, where they're from, and really tailor a strategy that's really geared towards them specifically. So your friend, or the individual that reached out to you, I would, if you wanted to come to the U.S., I would. That's a great question. I would say that an F1 student visa is really an ideal place to start, and then from there, he may be eligible for a OPT, a optical training program, and then from there, if he finds an employer sponsor, he could always find someone to sponsor his H-1B visa. That's really a good question. There's always great possibilities for people. It's just really a matter of tailoring a strategy specifically to the individual.
So you first talked about this F1 visa
Oh,
for the
right.
student.
Yes, the F1 visa. Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
so let's say that he wanted to go to university to study an MBA. Is this F1 visa the only thing that he can apply to in order to be able to go to university, or are there different student visas? And well, those are two questions actually. And the second one is, let's say that, because we also answer to those people who are willing to go and study to other countries. So I know from my own experience that in some cases languages are permitted as long as you have a visitor visa instead of only a student visa. So what are the differences between them? What are my rights when I come and apply for the F1 visa for a student?
Right, sure. An F1 visa is for people that intend to study in the U.S. On a full-time basis. So if someone is planning on studying, if they're planning on being enrolled in a full-time program, whether that program is in English, whether it's in engineering, political science, whatever it is, the F1 visa is really the way to go. That's the visa that's specifically targeted towards students. So that's really the only option that a student would have available to them. And if a student if an individual wanted to, maybe take an English class here and there, then they could do that on the B2 tourist visa. But if they really wanted to dive right into it and be a full-time student, then the F1 is really the way to go.
Okay, so you see, like, we're becoming a little bit technical at this moment, so please bear with
Yeah,
us.
yeah. No, I know. That's one of the things I was worried about. I don't want to put your viewers to sleep.
No, you're not, because we're going to go with this guy, imaginary guy, through his journey till he becomes a citizen. So, for example, if this guy wants to go first to study English, he gets this visitor visa, and then while he's studying English, can he apply for a F1 visa because he discovered that there's an MBA at I don't know, Harvard, that he wants to go and study? Is that possible?
Yeah, so let's say this imaginary person, he's traveling the U.S. Maybe he's taking a part-time class here and there, but he let's say he's not really English, maybe isn't the best, but he really wants to become fluent. So he decides to enroll himself in a full-time full-time English program while in the U.S. Yes, that's one way to do it. There's a couple different options that he would have available to him. One is obviously to return home back to his native country, and then he could apply through the more conventional route to the F1 visa. Or if he really wanted to try and expedite things, he didn't want to quite return home, uh, then yes, that's another possibility that he would have at his disposal. He would have to change his status, which would be required by immigration law. He has to fill out a form called a 539, and he has to send that in to immigration and wait for approval on that.
So he has to
But it is an
discover.
option.
Yeah, so he has to discover that he wants to stay real soon, because I know, or I think that visitor's visa at the United States, it's just a 6-month period.
Yes. Generally, they're only 6 months, which unfortunately isn't really a lot of time, because you have to remember that he'd have to enroll, be accepted into the school, and obviously that it doesn't happen overnight. It does take some time. Uh, that's why it's typically going back to his country is the more conventional route. But again, there is this other option that's available, which is to file the extension or the extension or change of status.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, like, and as you're saying, processes are well, somehow long, complicated, and it depends on each case. So maybe if
Right,
he
right.
asks for an extension, they may they may give it to them, but at the end he cannot like continue keep on asking on extensions like every time that the 6 months end up, right? Like there should be a limit.
Right, right. You hit on the point exactly. You really hit the nail on the head there. Uh, Typically, the way it works in practice is that it takes a long time for the government to approve the I-539. It actually takes anywhere from 5 to 6 months,
Wow.
which depending on what part of the US you're in. So it's kind of a tricky issue there. You can see the problem right there. If you only have 6 months and the 539 takes 5 months, you might not get approved in time.
Extension.
Plus you have to factor in that you need to apply with the school. It does take a lot of time, unfortunately. That's why a lot of practitioners do recommend it's better to apply for the F1 from the home country.
Yeah, yeah, like I believe that would be the best. So let's say that this guy figures out all what you just explained, and he is very wise, so he goes back to his country and he files for the F1 visa, which is going to help him come to the United States and continue and start studying an MBA. Can he work?
Well, he might be able to. They do have what's called the OPT program, which I kind of mentioned before. It stands for the Optical Training Program. It allows for students to work part time while being a student. And I noticed you said that that our hypothetical student is studying an MBA. And another thing that I'd like to bring up, if he's say we're hypothetically involved in what's called a STEM, science, technology, engineering, or mathematics,
Wow.
he's also eligible for a 24-month extension beyond the OPT program. So that's something that I'd like to bring up in case any of your viewers are STEM, that being science, technology, engineering, or math.
That's incredible. That's really incredible. As are
Yeah,
those,
isn't that
for
great?
example, um, um, are those specializations are the most required in the United States, for example, or why are they giving this benefit to them?
Oh, that's because the demand is the greatest. They're the most positions that are sought after. Scientists, people that specialize in technology, those positions are highly, highly sought after in the U.S. So that's why immigration has offered this program for individuals that specialize in those fields.
That's amazing. So this guy is not going to study an MBA. He's going to study robotics or something like
You
that.
know what? Yeah, maybe he would be better off studying robotics. Yeah, that might be a good option for him
Yeah, so
or
let's
her.
say he or she, yeah, you're right. They go to, well, finally they apply to the F1. They say yes, you're approved. They stamp or they send him the letter saying yes, welcome to America and welcome to the university. He's going to be able to study and work temporarily or like half time.
He's gonna predominant thrust of what he's going to be doing here is concentrating on those studies. That's very
Okay.
important to attend class, maintain the studies. Keep going to study hall, keep participating. That's going to be the predominant thrust of what he's going to be doing. But then with this great OPT program, he's allowed also to work on a part-time basis, which is really,
Oh, okay.
really a tremendous opportunity for him or for her. It will allow him to get some, hands-on experience, not just what he's doing inside of the classroom. So it's really a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, and I believe that this OPT or yeah, this OPT will, they need to prove the time that they are going to be studying there and like the province or the state they are going to be working, studying, sorry, at. And then they will provide the permit to stay there for that period of time. Is that correct? Or should they apply every year or every 6 months or?
The OPT program has to go through the school. That's something that goes through the school. They need the authorization of the school, and then they're going to get a sponsor, someone that's going to hire them on the part-time basis. So it's really both there for both the school as well as the employer.
Wow. So it is actually really really simple. I know that it is not, but it's not as complicated as it sounds, because once you have your OPT and then of course someone hired you like part-time and you started your practices, then maybe these companies are going to actually send you a proposal for a stable job there, like for you to stay there with a working permit. Could that be?
Yes, you're right on the right track. Which actually leads us as a great segue into the next point that I wanted to bring up, which is the H1B visa. The H1B visa is for specialty occupations where the individual has a bachelor's or master's degree, as well, or I should say a bachelor or master's degree, or a foreign equivalency. So that's really, really a great program. The individual, they'll have the bachelor's degree in the specialty field, and then from there, if they find an employer that's willing to sponsor them, we'll do the paperwork on their end. It's a bit of a lengthy process. I do want to spare your viewers. You have to do something what's called an LCA, labor conditions application. It is a bit of a lengthy process. Uh, it's a great program for people that have studied, that they might be just coming off the OPT if they want to live and work. I should mention it's distinct from a green card. It's a 3-year program. The H1B visa is good for 3 years, but it can also be renewed. So it's really a great program. I should also mention there's also a lottery for it as well. The applicant does have to be put in a lottery, which is every April, in the beginning of April.
Yeah. So, okay. So after this, then, because when I was in corporate, I saw this happening all the time. The people at human resources were, or either inviting the people who were doing, I don't know, what's the name? I'm just thinking in.
What is it? H1B?
No, it's because I was thinking in French, but like they
In
were
French.
doing their practices for free from other countries. They came to this company, and then they saw that they were talented, so they wanted them to stay forever. Well, to work with them. So
Sure.
they applied for them, as you're saying, with I don't know the name of this visa in Canada, but it's the same process. And but in some cases, I saw these people who were actually inside the process of getting sponsored by the company, some of them were going back to their countries in the meantime. Is it possible to stay in the United States while the process is going, or is it better for them to go back to their country and stay there until it's done?
Again, it is really important to mention that every case is different. Not all the cases are going to be the same. So it really depends on where the individual is coming from. But no, it is possible to go back to the individual's native country if he or she wants to visit. Presumably they would have been in the US for a long time, since they were studying and maybe on the OPT program. So yes, it is possible to go back to the country if he or she desires to.
Okay, so that's awesome. So we were talking about the H-1B visa, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this means that this person is going to stay there to work with this company. They said yes, everybody's super happy. He works at this company and his contract ends up, I don't know, maybe he was uh, let go, or or maybe the contract is over, or maybe he feels like he wants to go and look for other opportunities. What happens with this visa?
Well, that's really an important point. What happens is, ideally, the employee will stay with that firm. But say he gets let go, then in that case, the H-1 visa, excuse me, can actually be transferred to another company. I'm really glad you brought that point up. That's extremely important. So yes, to answer your question, or to answer it differently, it is transferable to other countries or to other companies.
That's incredible. But so the other company is going to become a sponsor now.
Yes, they'll effectively become a sponsor. Yes,
Okay,
correct.
so that means that the company really needs to want this person to work with them.
Yes, that's ideally what would happen. The company. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's just that because it's kind of going through the same process again, maybe.
Yes, yeah. Like I was saying earlier, once the person has been selected for the lottery, the H-1B is transferable to another company. It can be transferred.
So let's say that this person started working at that company, then found a colleague, they started having a relationship and they fell in love. And now they are thinking about sharing a life together, like longer than just a couple of years. Let's say they are planning to get married or living together, but forever in that country, in this case, America. Is it possible to get married and automatically get the permanent residency, or how does it go on that case?
Yes, if an immigrant does get married, yes, they can get the permanent residency. However, I wouldn't say it's automatic. Unfortunately, that's not the way U.S. immigration law works. Nothing in immigration law is automatic. What will happen is that the U.S. citizen or the U.S. permanent resident spouse will file what's called an I-130 petition, and they'll be sponsoring their immigrant spouse to live with them, or to get permanent residency, which is also known as the green card.
Oh, wow, the famous green card.
Yes.
Okay, so just to make it super clear, it is not because you got married that you're automatically accepted to live there forever at the United States and work. And that happens in every country in the world, I believe. I don't know I am not an immigration lawyer, but I'm most certain that this is the same case for and applicable for other countries as well.
Oh, well then I can't I can't speak about other countries, but I can certainly say in the U.S. that the U.S. citizen spouse will need to affirmatively file an application, and the name of that application is the I-130.
Okay.
And then if all goes well, then thereafter, actually, they can even file it concurrently. They'll be filing also an adjustment of status, an I-485. Those will be filed concurrently.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So there's a chance that in the process, this person is going to, maybe, I'm not sure, uh, they are going to be able to stay in the country in the meantime while the process is going on. And then maybe in that moment, they don't have the right to work, right? Unless they have the OPT H1B visa.
Well, yes, if they're on yeah, if they're on the H-1B, then they can work. That's fine.
Perfect.
But absent some sort of worker's permit, no, they cannot work absent permission from the government to work.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that we all have to think about in case we are thinking that getting married is the solution. Sometimes it is harder to do it that way, and it's better to go and explain the situation to a lawyer and figure it out together. But let's say that they finally got married, they applied to this last one that I just cannot remember the name of, but for the spouse to be able to sponsor the wife or the husband, um, and they get the green card.
Right.
So the green card, is that the citizenship?
No, unfortunately, it's not the citizen. If only it were that easy. No, but no, it's a green card and citizenship are not the same thing. Permanent residency is it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the right to live in and work in the U.S. on a permanent basis, but it's not U.S. citizenship. No.
So that means that as a permanent resident, I have the rights and obligations as any other citizen, but I don't have the right to vote or to be voted. Is that correct?
That's correct. If you are a permanent resident and not a citizen, you cannot vote or serve on a jury.
Oh, that too. Okay, perfect.
Although I do have to say, many U.S. citizens dread serving on jury duties. So arguably, that might be one of the things that's less advantageous for people wanting to be a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
But I do say that tongue in cheek. It's certainly advisable to become a U.S. citizen if eligible.
Perfect. If eligible. So
If
it doesn't
yes,
matter.
if
It doesn't
eligible.
matter if you've been in that country for 20 years. If you are a permanent resident, that doesn't mean that you are going to be eligible for citizenship.
Well, like I was saying earlier, nothing in immigration is automatic. You do have to take affirmative action. In the case of citizenship, if an individual has been a permanent resident and residing predominantly in the U.S., if they've been a permanent resident for 5 years or longer, in the majority of that time they've been living in the U.S., then yes, they will be eligible for citizenship. And in the case of marriage, if a permanent resident is married to a U.S. citizen, and that's the basis of the permanent residency, then only 3 years are required to apply for citizenship.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Like 3 years of being there as a permanent resident, and then you have the right to apply for citizenship, right?
If
Yeah.
the permanent residency was based off of marriage, then
Oh,
then it's 3 years. If it's based off something else, say employment, maybe the individual's green card is based off of employment. In a case like that, then it would be 5 years. But
yeah.
if based off marriage, then 3 years or more.
Wow. This is fascinating. Well, for me, and the way that you explained us, and well, the way that we created this kind of story, which was super successful, and now they are married. They have both citizenships and kids and family and a dog. So
Even a dog.
they have the whole family. So I believe this is providing us a very nice skeleton on how our process could be in case we want to follow this path. And of course, as Jeremy said, each case has its own process, but at least when you go to your lawyer, the lawyer is not going to be talking in uh, languages that you cannot understand.
Right.
This is going to sound similar, familiar, somehow like Jeremy said that time when I saw him in this masterclass. So um, I'm super grateful that you were here sharing us all this knowledge. And well, I proved that I am a very good student because I followed very well, I believe.
Yeah, you're a quick study, Diana. I'm impressed with your knowledge.
Well, finally, and just a question that I would love to ask you, and very, very small in detail, because that
Of
should be
course.
another thing. For refugees and this kind of other cases, how does it go? Like, should they arrive to the country immediately, or should they apply from their own countries? Just that, very quick.
Oh, sure. It depends on where they're coming from. Say they're fleeing from Central America, then they can request asylum at the border. To get asylum, an individual has to have suffered past persecution or in fear of future persecution if he or she has to return to their native country, and the persecution has to be based on race, origin, a particular social group is is actually the legal term of art for that. But they're always, always sad, really very heartbreaking, and often tragic cases. And it's really they've really suffered a lot. And my heart goes out to individuals that are applying for asylum.
Yeah, those cases are very, very specific and touchy. And I just wanted to ask you that because I know that there's a whole process, a whole different process, and this is specific for those people who are really, really in danger. So let's keep this for those who are really not finding another circumstance better than asking for help to another country.
Right, of course.
So, Jeremy, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know that you're traveling right now and you're missing the beautiful weather outside, so I'm going to let you free and enjoy. I'm really deeply grateful for your time and all the things that you shared with us. And for the great just for members that we had, like if you have other questions, you can always reach out to Jeremy. We are going to leave all his details here. You can send us an email to, and we will share it to him, or you can contact him directly. But if you're at the members zone, then you are going to get a 15-minute call for free with Jeremy to ask him a couple of questions and to clarify things.
Thank you so much for having me, Diana. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And well, I'll see you next time. And thank you.
All right. Keep up the good work. It's been a pleasure.